Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, July 6th, correct, 2015. And this week we are doing the Google app, the calendar app. So we posted the notes for the event and a Google a training tutorial from Ansel. What's his name? Anson Alexander. And today we're going to start talking about calendar. So what is the Shakespeare quote? Who can read the Shakespeare quote that's at the start of the event? Yeah. Okay, Jesse's going to read it.
They with the times and the affairs of men, which, taken at the foot, leads on to force omitted. All the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or we lose our ventures. Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, Act 4, Scene 3, Part 11.
Okay, good.
Director, I'm sorry. I thought we were supposed to be in drive.
Nope.
No? Okay, I know now.
Okay, so, okay, what does that mean? Anybody in California have any ideas about what that quote means?
Go with the flow. Oh, someone's saying go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Okay, that's probably a very good simplification of it. So what happens typically is opportunities arise and people do what?
Oh, it's an updater for the itinerary.
For her?
Yeah, people do what? When an opportunity arises, what do people usually do? They don't take it. So one of the things they teach you in law school, at least the law school I went to, was for most people, life is a tale of regret.
Mm-hmm.
And where is that?
That's true.
Over there, yeah. So you should have a poster on the wall. Life is a tale of regret. People regret the things they did, and they regret the things they didn't do. We have opportunities all the time to make good decisions, and more often than not, most people don't make good decisions. So today, this week, we're going to focus on the calendar as one of the 8 important Google apps. So let's go through the other apps like we usually do. What's the first app that Google came out with after search? Huh? Nope. Nope. Gmail, right. Okay, what are some other apps? That's 2. Voice, okay.
Now, what else?
YouTube, voice,
Said YouTube.
YouTube, Maps,
Of course.
Drive.
Chrome.
What's is part of Drive? Okay, what's another one?
You just said Chrome.
Somebody say Voice.
Voice.
Yeah, Voice. Okay. Chrome, which is not really an app, but we treat it as an app. Or it's not a cloud app. Okay, what's the last one? Google Plus, right. Who said that? Who? Okay, good. Google Plus. So these are the 8 apps that we focus on, and Calendar is the one we're doing this week. Why do we use Google apps? Do you know, Deshaun? How about you, Thomas? Why do we use Google apps? Okay, good guess. All right, Jesse?
They all work together?
Yeah, well, that's one reason. They all work together. They're free. They're designed to work together. Google's a company that's going to be around. It's a successful company. It's growing all the time. They're going to be around, and they update it all the time. But the main reason we use Google is because it's the best choice of any of these companies that have this whole suite of things. Microsoft is starting to have Microsoft Office online, cloud. So you can have Outlook online. But it wasn't designed to be that way. And so it doesn't work as well as Google does. Google keeps getting better. Microsoft is doing different things. And Microsoft is laying people off. Google is growing. It's just Google is better at that. So that's why we use Google Apps. And you'll see a lot of businesses are using Google Apps. They're moving to Google Apps. In California, Kaiser Permanente Medical is has offices where they are having physical exams, doctor's offices where the doctor isn't in the same room. He's somewhere else. They have a good camera, big screen TV, a physician's assistant, and everything is being done through Google Docs. So your records are on Google Docs. They're using Hangouts on Air. It's the direction it's going. So we focus on 8 apps. Last week, how many apps did we look at? How many, when we went to the even more, how many were there? Does anybody remember? About 70. There could be about 70 Google apps. We just focus on the top 8 most important ones for businesses. And today, or this week, we're going to talk about calendar. Why are calendars important? In California, why are calendars important?
Anybody?
Comes handy. No, it's just.
Why is it important?
It keeps you in mind. You're professional.
I'm getting a lot of things from being able to, because you can manage your time, and time is of the essence.
Professional.
And well, I'm getting all kind of answers, but it seems like the general one is because of time.
Time, right. So, and that kind of goes back to the Shakespeare quote. Not kind of, it does go back to the Shakespeare quote. What's the first line in that? We're tied to the affairs of men, right? And that talks about different times in life where opportunities arise at different times, and we have to be prepared to take those opportunities. Time is the most important resource we have, and it's also one way, unless you have a TARDIS. A TARDIS. Yeah. Who else watches Doctor Who? Yeah. Doctor Who. Okay. So time goes one direction. Thus, if you make a mistake, you can't go back and erase it. All you can do is move forward and try to fix it. So the better we manage our time, the more effective we can be. Most people, not most, almost no one keeps a calendar. We just don't do that. We do things mostly in the here and now. And there's a lot of pop culture, and I think if Monica was here, she would argue that the best thing to do is just live in the here and now. Right? Just live in the moment. Right? Now, what's the problem with living in the moment? Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this question. Who is a safer driver? A race car driver or somebody, a little old lady? Let's not say it's a little old lady. Somebody that drives 1 mile into the speed limit.
Race car driver.
Yeah. It's the race car driver. Huh?
Did you see a crash yesterday?
No. But race car drivers are safer because they look further down the road. They're anticipating problems, and you can't control everything. So my hunch is the guy just wasn't drunk. Some other factor caused it, right? Okay. So race car drivers are better because they're trained to look further down the road. They're trained to anticipate problems. Somebody who's just driving the speed limit, what's going on in their mind? They're texting, they're eating a hamburger, they're talking to the person next to them, right? All at the same time. They're not really focused on what they're doing. So calendars force you to focus your time. And the more effective you are at a calendar, the more productive you're going to be. And as an employee, are you going to be more valuable as an employee if you have good time management skills or less? Yeah, you're going to be more. But people don't spend time focusing on a calendar because we say what? Why don't we do it? Yeah. I remember, I'm not going to forget. What else? They'll call me. Someone's going to remind me. You know, we have all of these reasons why we don't have enough time to keep an accurate calendar. So we have to break that habit. And Google's Calendar is a great tool for doing that. But you have to think differently, a little bit differently about calendars. And it's sort of like how they do their maps with layers. Except they don't call them layers in calendar, they call them calendars. And in calendar, you can have, I don't know, I don't think it's unlimited. I have maybe 150 calendars on my calendar because students share their calendars with me. And so in calendar, what you have to get is a different concept, and that is that you can have multiple calendars. You don't just have one calendar. You have your personal calendar. And how do you get your personal calendar in Google? Wrong answer. Thanks for playing. Okay, next. How do you get your personal calendar in huh?
By creating.
Okay, what did you say in California?
Google applications. Google applications?
No. So in Google, as soon as you get a Gmail account, you automatically have your personal calendar.
You click on new calendar to get your new personal.
On my calendar.
What was that, Dennis? Yeah. So that's my calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
How to create one.
Okay. So that is your personal one. You should think of that as your personal calendar. Don't think of it as your business calendar when you have your Gmail account. Now, you could treat your My Calendar as your school calendar. You could do that, and then you could create a calendar. We're going to get more into we're going to get into that a little bit later. But the key thing you have to think in terms of is just picture that the way calendar works in Google is you have a whole bunch of calendars. Okay, you don't just have one calendar, you have a whole bunch of calendars. And so one is your personal, then you have your school calendar, you have your work calendar, you could have a family calendar. Let's say you play on a sports team, you have your hockey calendar, you have your church calendar. You can have multiple calendars. In fact, it's not can, you should. It is designed to do that. Now, could that be confusing if you have 10 calendars? Could it be confusing of having to go back and forth looking at each of these calendars?
Won't they all
You
coincide?
can look at one at a time or separate it.
Okay.
By date.
Well, if it was just like this, if you had 10 calendars and you had to look at them individually, would that be complicated?
Yeah.
That would be very complicated. If you had your calendars next to one another and you could only see one calendar at a time, that would be suicidal. You might as well kill yourself. Try to manage that. Okay, but what does Google do to make it easy?
One calendar.
No, it's not a master calendar. So they take all of these calendars and they stack them up so you're looking through all of your calendars at the same time. Okay, now could that be kooky?
Well, it could be.
If you have 100 calendars and you're looking at 100 calendars, what would it look like? Probably.
Rainbow.
Okay, it would probably look solid that you have no time to do anything. There's something in there for everything. So what does Google let you do? Yeah, you can turn on and off the calendars you want to look at. So you're looking, all of your calendars are stacked up, and you're looking through all of your calendars, but you can turn off some of the calendars so that you only see some of them at one particular time. That way you can keep things separate, and you can also share particular calendars with other people. So, for example, who would you want to share your family calendar with? Your family, right? But you don't want them to see your personal calendar, right? I wouldn't. I don't. Okay? So you can let them see, you can let other people see your calendars. Who would you want to let see your work calendar? Yeah, your boss, maybe your coworkers. How about your church calendar? Yeah, fellow churchgoers. You might say, you might have a group of people that after Mass, after church service on Sunday, you go to have breakfast or something. So you would share that with those people. Who would you share your hockey calendar with? Yeah, your guys on your hockey team. But would you want them to see your work calendar? No. Your personal calendar? No, absolutely not. So these are some of the things that Google does. I think everybody who isn't familiar with Google Apps and Calendar grew up in a world where you had a calendar, or you had a couple calendars. You might have a calendar on the wall in your kitchen, right? Growing up. And your mom would write stuff on there, or people would write stuff on there, and it was one calendar. So we grew up in a world where you had one calendar. Or what did you do if you went to work?
Oh, yeah, we put it on our page.
Before the internet. What did you have, Thomas? Like a day planner? Okay, you have a little pocket calendar that would have different views. And you would keep your stuff in that calendar, and you'd write in it, and you'd erase, and it was better than nothing, but it wasn't good. But our brains think in terms of a calendars. What we have to do is create as many calendars as we can create, that we can think of. So, and what you want to do is you don't want to have everybody having their own. So, for example, you want to get agreement with everybody on the hockey team that you're going to share a calendar. Okay? What if you have a hockey team, there's 10 guys on it, and everybody has their own hockey calendar? What happens?
You have to look through.
It gets to be kind of kooky, right? You can't just share. So on some things, you have to get agreement. Okay, I'll create the calendar and I'll share it with you people. So what would a rule be for who decides who creates the calendar? If it's the hockey team. Who's the one who should create the calendar? Captain or the coach? Okay? The person who's going to be around. Who is the person you don't want to create the hockey calendar? The guy who's going to quit next week, right? Because what happens then? Yeah, then your calendar gets screwed. So, and you never really want to share your personal calendar with anybody. What if you have an event and you want to invite somebody to it? It's on your calendar. What do? You invite them to the event. They don't get to see your calendar. They get to see the event. Okay? So Google has this thing really figured out. I don't know how many guys are on the Google Calendar team, but there's, I'm sure a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 100 people at Google that their only job is calendar. How to make the calendar better. Really sharp, bright people. Could be a lot more people, but let's just say that's the English calendar. So, so some of the concepts about calendar are you have to get the idea that you need to have multiple calendars. One calendar does not work. Now let's say you're in your job interview and you're trying to sell the company on hiring you because you're going to bring him to the cloud. What about the calendar? Is that something that the company should incorporate or adapt? Okay, why, Robert?
Because then another way of.
Okay, so what kind of calendars might the employer want to have to share?
Work calendar.
Meetings.
Okay, what's the big one? What?
Work.
Bigger than that?
What?
Vacation schedule. Okay, what do employees care about? What are the vacations? Okay, so it's very easy. Somebody in HR creates a calendar, kind of like how we have here for LV Campus. Somebody creates a calendar, and all of the important stuff that goes on for that company is on the calendar. Now all you have to do is train all the employees to look at that calendar, right? Okay, well, we're off on Friday, we're half day, or whatever, and so vacation days. And what might also you add on to that for employees? Holidays,
Vacation.
maybe sick days, vacation. What about employee birthdays? Okay. So depending upon the employer, a lot of employers think it's very important. Our policy at Larson is if it's your birthday, you don't work, or you get paid an extra day for working, because the most important day in your life should be what? Your birthday. That's really should be the most important day in each of our lives, is the day we were born. Huh? How so?
Isn't that part of the stoicism?
Could be. Could be. So, so on the employer calendar, one simple calendar for all employees. We've got, here are the holidays that we observe at our business, vacation, people's birthdays, because we like to celebrate people's birthdays. We like to acknowledge them. Hey, it's Thomas's birthday today. Everybody say hi to Thomas. Other things like that. Some kid, somebody has somebody born. Put that on the calendar. One of your employees' kids get straight A's. Put that on the calendar. You know, just anything that helps you get to a stage what? Company. Stage 4. Anything that would help you become a stage 4 company, you'd want to have on your employer calendar. And so that's the kind of thing you'd want to talk about with an employer. Good morning, Ronnie. What other kind of things might an employer want to have a calendar for?
Hiring dates or interviews.
Okay. Hiring dates and interviews. What else would an employer want? Work schedules, business meetings, important meetings. Okay, that kind of gets down to people's personal calendars. But one of the things that all employers should have would be a calendar for historic events. So that would be the Res Gesti calendar. What does that mean? Res Gesti. Should be on the cover of everybody's book. Everybody's composition book should have that.
Means, move forward or to?
Latin means things.
Things done, right. So Romans didn't have a word for history. Morning, Keith. So Romans didn't have a word called history. They used the term things done. These are things that we did. That was important stuff. So all employers should have kind of a milestone calendar. And the only thing that's on there is important stuff that you're going to want to look at 5 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now. You don't want to have any of the crap, just really important stuff on it. Okay. So what's another type of calendar that an employer might want? Okay. Well, special events, but there could be new projects. All of these things have new projects. And who would have access to the new projects calendar? Okay, who else? Upper management, who else? Yeah, the team. People involved in that special project. So, are calendars powerful? Do calendars have power? Who?
Oh, you're asking?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Why?
Because it's the accountable for your time, what you're doing here.
Okay. So calendars are very important as a planning tool, but there's a interesting thing about people, how we're conditioned. If you write something down like on a to-do list, things that are written down generally get done. We're just kind of funny that way. If we write, it's like making a contract with ourselves. If we put a date, I'm going to do this on this day, when that date is out there, we generally get it done. And that's one reason to-do lists are important for people, because it just works out this kooky thing that when people create a to-do list, they actually do it. People who don't have to-do lists, they don't get stuff done. They don't get nearly as much done as people who do have to-do lists. So a calendar is, one way to look at it is it's like this giant to-do list, right? It's not just a to-do list is typically, here's what I need to do today, right? But a calendar is a to-do list that goes forward in time and it goes back in time. Back in time is a record of what you did. Forward in times are things that you need to get done. And now we'll shift gears for a second to our employment planning workshop. If you have an employment planning calendar and you start putting dates out there, here's when I'm going to have my resume done, I graduate on this day, here's the day I'm going to go look for a job to pay the bills, these are the days I'm going to start contacting employers, these are the days I'm going to try to get my interviews done, and you start plotting these things out, even if they go months into the future. The fact that you plot them out is going to make you more successful getting your job. Because when you put something on a calendar, when you put it on a to-do list, it generally gets done. So that's part of why calendars are so powerful, is because when we put something in writing, we do it. And Google has come up with a great calendar app. And what's so great about it, Tamika?
You keep track of your events or things that you have to do.
Okay, that's any calendar. What makes the Google Calendar so good?
Oh, how they
This
put
is
all the
review.
different calendars together. You can look at different.
Exactly. So one of the things that makes the Google Calendar great, and this will probably be on Friday's test, just advance notice, is you have multiple calendars, and you can share those calendars with people. And even if you don't share a calendar with somebody, you can invite somebody to an event that's on your calendar. If they accept the event, where does it go to them? Where does it go to them? They receive an email, but if they accept it, where does it go? It goes on their calendar. Yeah, it goes on their calendar. You know, when, tomorrow and the next couple of days when we start doing this a little bit more, you'll see that you can create an event on one of your calendars and move it to a different calendar because it changed over time. Say it started as an idea, then it became a project, then it became a reality, etc. So how do we do that? What's an example of how we do that here? We do that every week here. Starts on one calendar and it goes to another calendar. No, not the events.
Or the test.
The quizzes, right, on Fridays, right? People still get confused when I'm looking at an event, I'm looking at a quiz on the TV up there, and people still say, hey, I don't see that on my calendar, right? And then what do I say? Yeah, I haven't put it on your calendar yet. So I move it from the quiz calendar to the daily calendar. And why do I do that? Why don't I just put them on the...
You want us to listen instead of starting.
Okay, well, there's that, but there are people in the past who are too clever by half. And so I would put the quiz on there the day before, and they would go look at what the quiz was the day before. But that's being clever. Too clever by half is, then they would say, look how clever I am. I already did it. So instead of just being quiet and doing it, they had to pat themselves on the back, to me, looking for special recognition that they already got the quiz done. And, just for, again, part of our quizzes are to be able to work in time constraints. It's not just about the information, it's about getting it done in a specific amount of time and practicing, pushing yourself to get things done. So it defeats the purpose if somebody's doing the quiz the day before, right? But that's an example of taking things from one calendar and moving them to another calendar. So we're going to start creating calendars in a minute. So everybody has all of their calendars done, the multiple calendars they should have. But before that, what I want you to do is basically plant this seed in your brain that replaces the plant that's already in your brain. The thoughts that we already have in our brain. It's called positioning. So there's some marketing and sales books about positioning. And the basic idea of positioning is when you think of something, somebody comes up with an idea or a statement, the first thing you think of has the lead position. So if I say car, what do you say, Rachel? Type of car, what do you say? Okay, Mercedes, what do you say, Thomas? I say car. GTO? Okay, what do you say, Jesse? Huh? Okay, so if I say type of car. Okay, so that's called positioning. So in our brain, we associate things, right? So positioning is you want to have your thing, whatever it is that you are represented, you want to have that lead position in people's brain. Kind of like on a Google search routine. You want to be the first thing to come up on that search. That's called positioning. So the position in our minds right now about calendars is this calendar that we all grew up with. This one document that has like 14 or 15 pages and you flip it over. We have to stop thinking of a calendar like that. Now you need to start thinking about a calendar as a whole bunch of calendars that you can look at. They're all stacked up one on top of another, and you can turn them on and off at will, and you can share them with people, and you can invite people to see events that are on your calendars. That's the first thing we need to do to become successful at this. And the second thing is to see the urgency and power of keeping your calendars updated. Okay, does anybody in California have any questions about calendars?
Any questions? We're fine. We're good.
Okay, does anybody here have any questions about calendars?
You said there were two things. Was positioning and what was it?
Positioning, that there's a different type of calendar, and the second thing is to get the importance of keeping your calendar updated. Okay, because we don't have a good habit. I haven't seen anybody ever come to the school with the calendar. You know, the old-fashioned kind of calendars, or the pocket calendars that Thomas and I were talking about. Nobody has ever come to the school in Las Vegas with one of those. I'm sure 15 years ago, people came to Larson in California, or 20 years ago, people would go to school in California and they'd have their calendar with them. But, you know, we think of that as a calendar, the old things as a calendar. Now we need to think of the new thing as a calendar, and we need to use it every day. Because the more you plan, the more effective you're going to be. And the sort of soundbite is you plan your work and you work your plan. Calendar is a planning document. Okay, does anybody else have any questions here? Okay, so let's start getting our calendars done and create as many calendars as you can that you think you need. Okay, I would think everybody should have at least 6 calendars. Okay, so while we're doing that, I'm going to go around and get everybody's typing scores. So, Robert.
Standard?
Yeah, from this morning. Okay, good. Okay, Ronnie, you weren't here. You can do that this afternoon. 47. Dwayne.
28.
28. Good. Thomas.
Oh, me, 36.
36. Michael. Who's Michael? Oh, Michael. Jesse.
101. Where's that?
101.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good. Wow. Rachel. Oh, Dennis.
Yes.
We have again broken the school's typing record.
Oh, what was it?
122.
Wow. Congratulations. Who was that?
Velvet.
Velvet.
She's graduated.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that's something. Okay, Gina.
8.
Wow.
Deshaun.
Why is everything
42.
so much?
Crystal. Tamika.
18.
18. Tom. 41. Brett. Who's Brett? Okay. Let's see. Did I miss anyone? No. Okay. So start building your calendars. We've got 7 minutes before the end of class. If anybody has any questions for me, let me know, please. Yes, Thomas.
Question. I already had a couple calendars made,
Yeah.
but on some of them, like, I have 3 that are actually made. It's mine, and then Child Duty Baltimore, and then employment planning one.
Yeah.
But I also have just added a personal and then tasks. But when I go to make create an event on that, I can't create an event.
On tasks?
Or even on the birthdays ones that I already had created a while back.
Okay, so here's a key thing to know about your calendars. How do you turn on and turn off a calendar? Huh?
Okay.
How do you turn on and off the calendar? Next to the calendar's name, to the left of it is a box that's either colored or not colored.
Right.
If you click on the box and it turns into a color, now that calendar is visible. Okay, if you click on the box next to the calendar and it's not visible, there's no color in it, that means the calendar disappeared. Okay, that means you're looking at all of your calendars at once. Okay, so see over here, all of these things, to the left of them is a little box. If you want to see the calendar, you have to so LD can't, that calendar's gone, I'm going to turn it off. Click on the orange box and everything disappears because I just turned that calendar off. If I want it back on, I go to it, I turn it on. Okay? So that's how you do it. So now, so Thomas, are you saying you don't see the name of your calendar?
No.
Or you don't see your calendar?
No, I have everything shown, but then when I okay, let's say I want to add a birthday in there.
Right.
Okay, I just tried to do it. So I click on it, and then I click on the arrow to the right.
Okay, that's not what you do. Okay, so you want to add an event.
Yeah, well, I know. I just want to add an event into that.
And so all you need to do is click anywhere, click on any open square,
Okay.
and create and edit event. Start at the top and you put in the birthday, right? In the box it says Untitled Event.
Yeah.
Okay, you put in the date. So if it's a birthday, it's an all-day thing.
Yep.
Okay. You fill in the rest of the stuff, and then you get down to a line that says calendar. See that?
Yeah, then that's what I'm getting at. It only has my Child Tootie Baltimore, and then a personal, and then my Thomas Ward Employment Planning. I don't have the other ones on there for some reason. I don't know why.
Everything under my calendar is done.
Is it? Yeah, I only have 3 in there, but I have 6 things made. Same with yours? I don't understand why.
Well, now the next thing you can do, if that's the case, is you go into settings. And there's so you go to the cog on the right.
Okay.
You go into settings. It says calendar settings. Looks like this.
Where'd you? Oh, you clicked on.
Cog on the right side in calendar. So right up here is a little cog, a wheel.
So I should get out of where I was going to create the event.
Or it'd be on your calendar.
Okay.
Be on the calendar.
Okay, I got you. Now I'm there.
Okay, you go to settings.
Okay.
And then it says calendars. And this will list all of the calendars that you have. And you want to make sure where it says show in list, see it here? So you come to, so over here, you click on this thing that says calendars. Now it will show you all of the calendars that you have.
Oh, okay.
And over here, you want to make sure, if you want to see it, that this is checked.
Yeah, they're all checked.
Well, do you see the name of the calendar on the left?
Yeah.
Now you see a calendar that says birthday, whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay, and it's checked that it says visible.
Yep.
Show in list.
Director, what do we put for description on our calendars?
Well, you just put a description, whatever the calendar is for.
So like in calendar name, I put personal.
Okay.
And then like what will be a description?
My personal calendar. I don't share this with anyone.
Oh, okay.
So that's a good question. So in some of them, in description, you might want to put down who you're sharing it with. You might put in there the date you created the calendar. And now, Thomas, if you're saying you can't see your calendar, you have a thing over here called Other Calendars
Where are you at?
on the calendar page.
Yeah, I have that. Then I have just holidays and then Las Vegas campus one.
And so these are opened up so you can see everything in them.
Right? Yeah, those two are.
So in my calendars, you should be able to see all the calendars you created. Do you see your birthdays calendar?
Yeah, I see them all.
So now,
And I have a color for every single one of them too.
okay.
Remember when you had a birthday, it's not no one's birthday.
Right? But I can't even add one into it. It doesn't even show up where I could add it into it once I go to edit.
Yeah.
Yours is the same too?
Yeah.
So if you go over to the down arrow next to birthdays, and you click on that.
Okay. Maybe display on this calendar?
Yeah. Well, that's a display only calendar. You don't want that. You don't want to hide the calendar from your list.
No. Calendar settings.
So if you go to calendar settings,
Nothing really in there.
no, you don't. Okay, so we've got 1 minute, so we'll look at that a little bit later.
Okay. I was just curious.
Okay, California, is there anything that you want to talk about before we shut this down for the day?
Question? Anyone? You're good?
Good. Okay, great.
Comfortable.
Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Tomorrow.